Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Arun Singh Thakur from University Institute of Hotel and Tourism Management, Punjab University, Chandigarh. Today we are going to discuss about the module Relief, Climate and Flora Fauna from the paper Tourism Products of India. After studying this module, students, you shall be in a position to understand the extent of India and its location along with neighboring countries, analyze the linkage of relief, climate and flora fauna in tourism. So, students, let us start. India derives its name from the river Indus and is described as a land of tropical climate. Its territory extends between 8 degrees 4 minutes to north and 37 degrees 6 minutes north latitude and 68 degrees 7 minutes and 97 degrees 25 minutes east longitude. The maximum stretch of the country is from north to south is 3214 kilometers and at its maximum from east to west country measures 2933 kilometers. The total length of the coastal line of the mainland of India measures about 6100 kilometers and the land frontiers measures about 15,200 kilometers. India has a total land of about 32,87,782 square kilometers. India is ranked 7th in terms of area and is home to about 1/6 of the world population. India shares its borders with China, Nepal and Bhutan in the north. The boundary between India and China is called as McMahon Line. To the northeast, India shares a boundary mainly with Pakistan and is known as the Red Cliff Line. Another neighboring country situated to the northeast is Afghanistan. The Indian landmass tapers between the Bay of Bengal in the east and the Arabian Sea in the west. The Indian Ocean lies to the south of the country. In the south, the Gulf of Mannar and the Pak state separates Sri Lanka with India. India's islands include the Andaman and Nicobar Islands in the Bay of Bengal and the Lakshadweep, Minicoy and Amindiv Islands in the Arabian Sea. Now, we will know about the relief. Relief in geography is used to denote the lowest and the highest elevation points of an area. The mountains and the ridges are considered to be the highest relief point while the valleys and the other low-lying areas are considered to be the lower relief points. This is a study of landforms of the place and the landform of India from a geological and physical point of view. It is divided into 3 distinct units. The first is the Himalaya and its associated mountain ranges from east to the west. The second comes the Indo-Gangetic Plain to the south of the Himalayan region. And the third one is the Triangular Plateau or the peninsula to the south. The Himalaya and the mountain chains to the north are made up primarily of Prototerozoic and Phanerozoic sediments. These mountains have resulted from diastrophic movements. The rock in these mountains ranges are highly folded and faulted. The geological evidence suggests that this region has remained under the sea for the greater part of its history and therefore has layers of marine sediments that are characteristics of all geological ages subsequent to Cambrian period. The Indo-Gangetic Plain is a very young feature of the country. This plain has been formed only during the Quaternary period. The region has very limited relief and much of the surface of the plain is below 300 meters above the mean sea level. This region consists of typical undulating plains created by highly developed drainage system. The surface of the plains is covered by sediments of Holocene or recent age. The western part of the plain is occupied by the vast stretches of desert. The peninsular plateau is geologically as well as morphologically a totally different area. It is a stable mass of pre-Cambrian rock existing since the formation of Earth. This has been a fragment of ancient crust of the Earth. Since its existence, this region has never been submerged beneath the sea since the Cambrian period. During their long existence, the rocks of this region have undergone little structural information. The mountains of the peninsular region, except for the Aravallis, do not owe their origin to tectonics but to denudation of ancient plateau surfaces. The rivers flowing over the plateau surface have flat, shallow valleys with their low gradient, and most have attained their base level of erosion. Further, we will understand the physiographic divisions of India. It is divided into 4 areas, viz. The northern mountains, the plains of India, the peninsular plateau regions, and the island territories of India. Let us describe them one by one. The first one is the northern mountains. Himalayas are one of the youngest mountain system in the world. The formation of this mountain system has involved folding of sedimentary rocks of great thickness. The Indus Valley in Kashmir and the Brahmaputra Valley in the Arunachal Pradesh are accepted as the western and eastern limits of Himalayas in India. Himalaya form the northern boundary of India. The Himalayan chain measures about 2500 kilometers from west to east, and the width of this fold system varies between 150 kilometers to 400 kilometers with an average height of about 2000 meters. On the basis of structural pattern, there are 3 divisions of Himalaya. The first is the northernmost Himalayan ranges are called as the Central Himalaya or Himadri and is highest among all. The average height of the range is about 6000 meters and the width is about 25 kilometers. The important peaks that fall under this area are Mount Everest or Sagarmatha, the Kanchenjunga, Makalu, Dholagiri, Annapurna, Gosainath, Nanda Devi, Nanga Parvat, etc. Then to the south of the central or the inner Himalayas lies the second major range, that is the lesser or the lower Himalayas. This range is also called as Himachal range or the middle Himalayas. It has an average height of about 1800 meters to 3000 meters. The maximum height of the peak here lies about 4500 meters and the range is 80 to 100 kilometer wide. This area remains under snow cover all the year round. Dhauladhar, Nagriva, Pir Panjal and Mahabharata are the important ranges of this area. Then the third is the southmost range of Himalaya system, in the foothills is called as the Shivaliks. This range is also known as the Outer Himalayas. The extension of this range lies between river Kosi in the east and the Potwar Basin in the west. The range measures about 2400 kilometers. The Shivalik range is separated from the Lesser Himalayas by the valley zone known by the name of dunes and duars. The breadth of this range varies between 10 and 50 kilometers and its average height is about 1200 meters. The older rivers of Himalayas have their cut valleys through this range. Now next is hagiographic divisions of India. We will discuss is the plains of India known by various names like Great Indian Plains and Indo-Gangetic Plains. It stretches from the westernmost part of the country to the Brahmaputra Valley in the east. The stretch is the most extensive stretches of the alluvium in the world. In fact, it is primarily the rivers flowing from the Himalayas region that have deposited sediments in the great thickness to form this plain. The total length of the northern plain is about 2400 kilometers and the width varies from 145 to 480 kilometers. On the basis of the direction of its slope, the plain is divided into two parts. The first is the western part. This part of the plain is also known as Punjab Plain. This plain is drained by the Indus and its tributaries. The second one is the eastern part. This part of the plain consists of the flood plain and the delta plains of the Ganga and the Brahmaputra. As its name suggests, this part of the plain has been formed by the rivers of Ganga and the Brahmaputra system. The coastal plains stretch along the coast of India. These plains separate the peninsular plateau from the sea. The inner margins of the plain are marked by the eastern and the western Ghats that separate the Deccan Plateau region from the coastal lowlands. Although the coastal plains stretch along both the Bay of Bengal coast and the Arabian Sea coast, the two plains differ from each other in respect of their geomorphology characteristics. The plain along the Bay of Bengal coast is called as the Eastern Coastal Plain and the another one extending along the Arabian Sea coast of India is called as the Western Coastal Plain. Then the third division is the Peninsular Plateau. This plateau is spread southwards of the Indo-Gangetic Plain in the form of a triangle with its broad base to the north and the narrow apex to the south. The Bay of Bengal, the Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean flank it on its three sides. To the north of the plateau lies the Aravalli, the Satpura and the Vindhya mountains. To the west are the Western Ghats while the Eastern Ghats form its eastern boundary. Nilgiris lie on the southeastern side of the plateau. The average height of this vast tableland varies from 487 to 762 meters and the total area of the plateau is about 70,000 square kilometers. The most important feature of this plateau is its Narmada fault that divides the entire plateau into two parts. The northern part is called as the Malwa Plateau and the southern part is called as the Deccan Plateau. The fourth and the last physiographic division of India is Island Territories of India. There are total 247 islands are located in Indian subcontinent. Out of this 247 island, 204 island lies in the Bay of Bengal and remaining 43 are located in Arabian Sea and the Gulf of Mannar. The islands of Bay of Bengal are included in the two large groups, the Andaman and Nicobar. The group of island is further divided into North, Middle, South and the Little Andamans. The Duncan Passage separates the Little Andamans from the South Andamans. The Little Andaman region lies to the south of the Duncan Passage. Most of the islands in the Andaman group are formed largely by sandstone, limestone and shale rocks. There are two volcanic islands also. Their names are Narkandom Islands and Barren Islands. The Nicobar group of islands includes 19 islands and the largest among these is the Great Nicobar Islands. The Andaman group is separated from the Nicobar group by the 10-degree channel. Some of the islands of the Nicobar group are of coral origin and are surrounded by live coral reefs. The Indian islands located in Arabian Sea are of coral origin and they are surrounded by the coral reefs. These islands are small and they are above few meters above the sea level. Lakshadweep and Minicoy are the two groups into which these islands are divided. The northern group of island in the Lakshadweep region is called as Amindivi Islands and the southernmost part is called as the Minicoy Islands. The 9-degree channel lies between the Minicoy Islands and the islands of the Union Territory. Further, we'll try to understand about the climate of India. India extends in the tropical and subtropical zones. The climatic conditions in India are affected by tropical monsoon. It is only during the winter session when northern part of India experiences some subtropical or temperate climate phenomena and their influence. India being an agriculture country and the agricultural activities are dependent on monsoons. It is the monsoon which bring rain in India during the month of June and July. Monsoon is a wind system of tropical regions under which the direction of the wind is reversed seasonally and it results in summer rainfall and dry winters. Under this system, the winds flow from the sea to the continents during the summer so that the moist winds cause rainfall in this season. During the winter season, the direction of the wind is reversed so that they blow from continents towards the sea. The winds of continent origin, being dry, do not cause any rainfall. Thus, a rainfall regime with wet summers and dry winters is characteristic of the areas experiencing monsoon climate. Seasons. Then comes seasons. Climatic year of India can be divided into 4 seasons. The first is the hot, dry season. The important feature of this climate is that the vertical rays of the sun start moving towards the Tropic of Cancer and thus the temperature starts rising. During the month of May and June, northern part of India experiences high temperature because the sun rays approaches the Tropic of Cancer. The weather during this period remains dry and it is called the hot dry weather. The second season is the hot wet season. The trough of low pressure over the Indo-Gangetic plain causes the equatorial winds of oceanic origin to move over India. This is the onset of southwest monsoon and also the beginning of the hot wet season. This season lasts till mid-September. It is the time when the southwest monsoon bursts for the first time over the southern part of the country and progresses northwards. Then the third season is the cool dry season. The cool dry season lasts from the mid-September to mid-December. The southwest monsoon starts retreating gradually, first from the north. By early November, the temperature starts coming down in the entire country and the southwest monsoon is completely withdrawn from India. This period is characterized by low temperature, low northerly winds, clear skies and low humidity. The fourth season is the cool wet season. By October, the southwest monsoon withdraws from the most part of India and the northeast monsoon establishes itself over the entire area from which the southwest monsoon has withdrawn. The weather remains dry up to the end of November and in most parts. The western disturbances are cyclonic systems that develop in the belt of the westerly winds and they bring unsettled weather in their wake. These disturbances cause rain or snowfall in Jammu and Kashmir and the northern Indian plains and break the dry spell. This period of the year is called cold west season. Then comes about the vegetation in India. Vegetation is the natural plant cover of an area. However, much of the natural plant cover in India has been modified by human activities. More than half the area of the country is under cultivation and other uses that imply removal of the natural vegetation cover. The climate of India is tropical and hence a large part of country supports tropical flora. Now let us discuss the various types of natural vegetation of India. The first one is the moist tropical type. It is further divided into four subtypes. Out of that, the first is tropical wet evergreen. This region receives high rainfall and as a result, the typical vegetation remains active all the year round. Typical vegetation of such areas consists of evergreen forests. This vegetation is available to those areas where annual rainfall is more than 200 centimeters. The Western Ghats, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Manipur and Nagaland are the places of tropical evergreen forest. Rosewood, pan, aini, toon and gurjan are the important trees found in these forests. The second type is the tropical moist semi-evergreen. This type of forest occur in the areas of slightly less rainfall and in close proximity of the tropical evergreen forest. Due to somewhat lower amount of rainfall and more seasonality in the moisture availability, these forests are slightly more open than the evergreen forest. The heights of the trees are also somewhat lower in comparison to evergreen forest. Sal is an important timber species found in these forests. The third type is the tropical moist deciduous forest. These forests are called as the monsoon forest. Annual rainfall in these regions ranges between 100 and 200 centimeters. Due to seasonality of moisture, the trees in these forests shed their leaves during the dry season. These forests are valuable source of hardwood timber. Teak and sal are the prominent species which is the common in this type of climate. The fourth type is tidal forest. This type of vegetation is available with the coastal areas where the saline water of the sea or the ocean encroaches at the time of high tide. Mangrove forests are the typical example of this type of vegetation because mud and silt accumulate due to the tidal waves. Deltas and river mouth are the areas where this type of vegetation exists. Then the second type of vegetation is dry deciduous type. Such vegetation exists in the areas where annual precipitation falls about 100 centimeters or less than that. The trees shed their leaves during the dry season. It can be divided into three categories. The first type is the tropical dry deciduous. This type of vegetation occurs in the areas of slightly lower rainfall with more pronounced seasonality. The low moisture availability and a long dry season restrict both the growth of the trees as well as the undergrowth. The cheap species available are sal, teak, shisham, rosewood and sandalwood. The second type in this category is the tropical dry evergreen. This forest survives only in patches in the coastal areas of Tamil Nadu due to the rainfall occurring in the winter season from the northeast monsoon. The annual rainfall in this area amounts to be about 100 centimeters. The third and the last in this category is the tropical thorn forest types. This type of vegetation lies in the areas receiving an annual rainfall of about 75 centimeters. The low precipitation of these regions can support only trees of low height and the density of plant cover is also very low. Xerophytic plants and axia are the common vegetation in this area. Such vegetation provides fuel wood and some other forest products like tanning material and gums. Then the third type of vegetation is montane, subtropical and temperate types. It is further divided into two parts. The first is the wet hill forest of the south. This type of vegetation covers the Nilgiri and Palani hills in the south. Due to the height of these trees, these forests it seems fairly thick. The second type is the wet temperate forest of the south. This type of vegetation is available above 1500 meters of height. At higher altitude, temperature falls and precipitation effectiveness increases. Therefore, vegetation tends to become evergreen. Wet, temperate hill forests of the southern region are dense but low, having much undergrowth and epiphytes, mosses and ferns. Some of the important species are magnolia, laurel and cinchona. The another type of vegetation is montane type, that is Himalayan. Starting from the lowest foothills to the higher reaches of the mountains up to the trees line, all type of vegetation are found in the Himalaya region. The vegetation of the Himalaya region can be divided into, the first is the wet hill forest. This type of vegetation is found in the Himalayas, especially between 1000 to 2000 meters. Oak and chestnut are the dominant species in this forest. Mossy forest, a typical type of vegetation, is also found in this zone. Then the second one is the subtropical pine forest. The subtropical dry evergreen forest, patches of this type of forest also occur on the slopes of the Khasi hills in Purvanchal. Then comes the subtropical dry evergreen forest. This type of vegetation flourishes in a restricted area on the Himalayan foothills in Jammu and Kashmir, receiving an annual rainfall of about 15 to 100 centimeter. Wild olives, acacia, modesta and pistana are the predominant species found in these forests. Then the fourth in the category is the moist temperate forest. This vegetation is available in entire area where the annual precipitation ranges between 100 centimeter to 250 centimeters. A wet temperate forest mainly of oak, laurel and chestnut, dwarf bamboos occurs in the area. The next one is the dry temperate forest. The speciality of this type of vegetation is that it is found in the areas of inner Himalayas where the rainfall is less than 100 centimeter annually. Then comes the alpine forest. The higher reaches of the Himalayas from about 2900 to 3650 meters are covered largely with a dense shrubby forest of silver fir, juniper, pine, birch and rhododendrons, etc. Trees are mostly dwarf and stunted and making a shrubby appearance. In fact, the nature and the character of vegetation in Himalayas changes with altitude. A large variety of microclimates make this mountain region home to hundreds of plants and species. It is often said that there are hardly any plant species of India that are not found in some areas in the Himalayas. In the end, let us summarize what we have discussed in this module. As a matter of fact, the relief, climate and flora and fauna are bigger source of resources for the tourism industry. As a result, India has been called as a destination of reasons of all the seasons. It has tremendous national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, forest area, which shelters a number of flora and fauna. The ecotourism has become a fashion in the modern era to watch animals into their original habitat. The motive of various travelers lies in this fact that India has become a hub of travelers originating from every corner of the world. Movement of tourism is not restricted to a particular month, season or to specific time, but the flow of tourists are registered in almost every month. It is the climate that is making India a destination for all the reasons, and flora and fauna is providing a base for the eco lovers. That is all. Thank you.